Hello,
Hello,
part 2.
spiritually naked.
As you can see, we are naked in a pool. And I tell you, the water is very, very warm.
Yeah, it's like a bath actually.
Yeah.
We're in Thailand.
Yeah.
Um,
And under a nice palm tree.
Unfortunately, this is a private pool, so we can actually get away with being naked in the
Whoa,
pool.
whoa, 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 no. The neighbors can look in, the people from the streets that pass by can look in, but we don't care.
Can't do it on the beach here.
No, you can't do it on the beach here. Even so, I think years ago, that was different, wasn't it?
Yeah, things have changed. And we found this in Bali as well.
Yeah, we had a very nice Balinese house, and across the street there was a river. And originally at the river there was like a point where the women were washing the clothes, and the women, the children, the man were going for a shower in the river.
Yeah. They actually had like little sections where they could actually be a bath sometimes, or
Yeah.
and there was like the water was coming through for showering.
Yeah.
And so this was all outdoors, and so we would drive past on the scooter, and they'd be in there naked.
Yeah.
having-
Men, women,
having a
children,
shower.
having a shower, mixed together. And we saw every evening when we were walking there to our beautiful massage place, an elderly lady. I was thinking she was in her 80s maybe.
Yeah.
And she was walking
breasted.
breasted
Yeah.
down the street, only with a sarong around her hips, greeting us very friendly, smiling at us, going to her daily baths. And we really said, yes, yes, where are all these wonderful, beautiful women going bare-breasted to their beautiful baths? But we finally found this one space where it still happened, wasn't it? It was so wonderful to see that.
Yeah.
But what happened to humanity? Why do people dress up? Even here on this beautiful beach, there's once a week a market. And all the people come there and get the local, nice artisan local food. And you can sit by the beach. And last Saturday we saw a family. A man in normal clothes, a little boy naked, and his wife and his 2 girls covered up
In burqas.
in a burqa. Covered up from top 2 feet in black burqa. Not being able to eat because they have to lift the burqa to eat. And we're sitting in front of that, just looking at it, we don't understand it. I personally don't understand how women can agree to such cruelty, to be locked away in a dress and be locked away from public, that they can't even eat properly, sweating like hell because we are sweating without clothes even here. And what happened to our society? Who is responsible for that? And why is it happening? Why do people agree to do that?
Well, because they are conditioned to do that.
But they don't even question it, don't they?
No, because it's part of the culture and their religion, and you know, I mean, we question it because for us it seems just so alien. For them, obviously, you know, it's natural, but. You know, the purpose of doing these videos is to try and kind of bring these things forward, and maybe there's sometimes uncomfortable topics that people may feel like, ooh, should we be talking about that then? But you know, somebody's got to ask these questions and really have these conversations, because if we don't start questioning things and having these conversations, then we're not going to move forward so much. And you know, I fully recognise that, you know, everyone has their own feeling, their own opinion, and we would never force anyone into what our opinion is, or for them to do what we do or what we enjoy.
Of course not, because
You know?
everybody has a known comfort zone, but this is exactly what we have to talk about.
Yeah, but this is why we should be talking about it, so that we can at least get people maybe to think about their situation.
Why they do think they have to cover themselves up? Why do they think they're not beautiful the way they are? Doesn't
Yeah.
matter how the breast look like. Doesn't matter how tall or big or small you are. It doesn't matter which hair color you have. It doesn't matter if you're looking old or young. So why do you feel ashamed to show yourself in the way you are? Why are you not in line and in love with yourself? And being able not only to dress yourself up, put yourself in cosmetic and, you know, do all this and that surgery to look without wrinkles or whatever. Why do you do that? Are you ashamed?
Or is it just actually because you don't love yourself enough? You don't value yourself enough. You don't have a strong enough sense of self-worth. And don't get me wrong, we all struggle with that because we've all been conditioned.
Yeah. We think it has to be like that.
Yeah, you
right?
know, we've all been brainwashed. We've all been, you know, taught that that we're not good enough, that we aren't enough, that we have to compare ourselves to others. And you know, actually this happens a lot. We're often comparing ourselves. And interesting, I was having this conversation with a male friend of mine only a couple of days ago, and we were talking about how men look at other men because we're going, well, they're you know, taller than I am, or they're, you know, more muscular than I am, or they're, you know, and there's this comparison that happens, and then this sense and feeling that then we're not good enough because we're comparing to what we think we should be.
Yeah.
And I think women do the same, don't they?
Yeah, they do. They don't do it so obvious, I think. It's more what I witnessed a lot in the changing rooms, especially when I go for swimming. They are, especially in Australia, it was very much. They are, you know, they don't shower themselves without clothes. They shower themselves in the bather, going out, drying the body, but leaving the bather on. And then when everything is dry, they wrap the towel around them and try to squeeze somehow out of this towel situation to get the bather off and to get the clothes on, even so everything's wet still under the towel. And they teach their children to do the same. And this is so sad to witness that. It's so sad how these young women or older women are not, how they are ashamed, even if they're a changing room only for women. I mean, in other cultures, like especially in Germany, we are used to get naked under the shower. We are used to get naked in the dressing room, whatever. But then, as you say, they start, oh look, she has a big breast, or look at that tummy, that look wobbly, or whatever. In their minds, they don't say it, but they start to compete in their minds. That's why we have so many fitness studios, because they think they have those 3 figures to be attractive. So this competition thing in our brain, where's it come from? It comes from the mainstream media, isn't it?
It does, and social media. I mean, there's
so many people. Oh, selfie here, selfie there, selfie whatever.
You know, but also, you know, and I think what's scary as well is the influence of AI now on social media. And honestly, you see these pictures, and you'll see people, you know, for men, you know, men with, you know, 6 packs and you know, all of these things, and so. But people don't realise that a lot of this is photoshopped or airbrushed or
surgery, done by surgery or whatever,
or AI kind of, you know, created or and so on, and so it doesn't actually bear a resemblance to a real body.
Yeah. And do you remember when we were at this waterfall in Bali, where this young 2 women we had just lunch, and we were kind of like in a cinema watching this video, what they were doing. So they were staging themselves in tiny little mini bikini, right? They were probably somewhere from East Europe, I think, from the language that they were speaking. And then they were going to this pool and making the selfie videos from each other, you know, breast out and ass out, you know, like the half a naked ass, and then looking very. I don't know whether maybe working in the sex industry or whatever. I don't know, but what the hell are women doing with their female energy? Why do they present themselves as sex objects? What do they think they will receive?
And are they just responding to how the wounded masculine is in the world, and so they think that that's what men want?
Yeah, but does a woman not have any awareness about their sacred body?
No, they don't.
They don't. So they present themselves as sexual objects. What do they do by presenting themselves out there in the internet energetically when they do that? They are selling their sexual energy and giving it away so it will be abused. Maybe not physically by another man, but maybe energetically in the internet.
Yeah.
So what does it do with somebody energetically?
And then, so from a man's perspective, for example, so let's say a man is then searching for those images and then is using his sexual energy to then, whilst looking at those images, and what's then he doing with his energy?
Yeah.
And then the combined energies together are just feeding a system where sexuality is demonized.
Yeah. And then we are back into what is the sex industry for. So why is it so big and so powerful all over the world? And especially here in Thailand. Especially here in Thailand, we see what the sex industry does. It's not tolerated, it's forced. So the women are actually taught to sexualize their body to have a more comfortable life by getting a man through that. And I'm not talking about getting a Thai man. You know what I mean? You see it here everywhere. So the female energy is actually sold away for the sex industry, and on top of that, for the tourism industry. Because who makes the money on it? Who gets the taxes for that? Where is it going to? You just have to follow the money.
Yeah. And I think, this is spiritually naked. So let's, from a spiritual perspective, energetically, the people who are behind, the sex industry, pornography, etc., there's an element of feeding on that energy.
Yeah.
And the more that that energy is created by humans buying into the way in which sex and sexuality is treated, then the more that they're feeding into the negativity and that energy. And also what it does is it keeps us from the sacred part of what our sexuality is meant to be. And when we start talking about that being a very powerful force within our bodies that we can tap into, and if you marry together the sexuality with the sacredness and with spirituality, what you do then is you have a greater connection to higher consciousness and to the one consciousness, which is what what you get when you really have sacred union between a man and a woman.
Yeah, and by not being aware of it and following this mass manipulation, this is how I call it, it's a mass manipulation, you disconnect from your own highest power that you can create for yourself into your partnership as well. And if you are not aware of it, you will be trapped. You will be trapped in what's out there because you think it's right, because everybody does it.
And I guess what I would also like to say is that let's be really clear that men and women have their own path to go down to be able to be ready for sacred union.
Especially we found younger people, younger couples that are spiritually awakened, they question and they are looking for role models, they are looking for inspiration, they are looking for how can they do it different. And couples that have been together for a long time and they don't know how they can actually tap into this higher vibration of their own communion sexuality. I think they're starting to look for solutions for that because they feel what they did in the beginning, because everybody does it, like we have sex, we produce children, but what's now? And yeah.
I think so. What we're talking about, when you talk about the mass manipulation, you know, this has been going on for such a long time. And so the collective consciousness of humanity is holding all of these wounds within the collective DNA. And, you know, I think from a masculine perspective, there is a lot of men who feel deep within them the wounding that has happened to the feminine.
Yeah.
And there's guilt and shame that come connected to that, because they know that the feminine has been abused and subjugated for so long, that there is this collective deep guilt and shame that of what the masculine has done to the feminine. And when I talk about that, I'm talking about wounded masculine and not divine masculine, because there's a real, you have to differentiate here. So, what's the message then? The message is to really, if you're not there yet, really start to question the power of your sexuality, and what your sexuality means to you. There's so many people, you know, that I've met in my life who don't tap into their sexual energy at all, who actually don't have sex anymore, don't have tenderness and connection with their partners. It's just lacking, and maybe to an extent this is because many of them are so struggling to survive in their day-to-day life with trying to make enough money to pay the bills and so on, that they're so caught up in that there's just no time, and the connection just between a couple has just become less and less and less. And so I see so many unhappy, sad people who would really love to have that in their lives, but they just don't know how to get it.
I think the first most important thing for everyone who is maybe in a relationship or not in a relationship is learn to love your body, learn to be proud of who you are, how you look like, learn to get naked, physically naked, doesn't matter where and how you do it, but learn to feel comfortable with this wonderful gift that you've got, your body. Once you feel comfortable with that, you will attract totally different people, because you don't have to dress up, you don't have to pretend to be someone who you are not.
Put on this facade.
You will be in resonance with other people that have the same frequency like you have. But as long as you hide, or as long as you pretend to be someone who you are not physically in your body, doesn't matter how you look like, you will attract the wrong people in your surrounding, and you will probably attract the wrong interaction with your partner if you're in a relationship.
I think the other thing too that you could look at as well is that if you've had bad sexual experiences, abuse or trauma, or you know, things that just made you feel uncomfortable, then often people carry a lot of shame around those things. And so it would be really good to recognize that happened in the past, and that you're able to then forgive yourself or other people, and then be able to let those things go, so that you can step further into your own feeling of your own body, so that you're not feeling any shame about anything that you might have done in the past.
Yeah. Healing the old wounds. If you need help, you find the right help, but you start with yourself to be able to bring out the right resonance field. And we would like to encourage you to go forward. Don't look around you. Don't look at role models. Don't look at whatever they're creating out there. And just love yourself like we love you.
So I hope you enjoyed part 2 of Spiritually Naked, and we'll continue the series with more insights and recommendations. So till next time,